Hey, it is Shamaree, and I'm a marriage and family therapist turned intimacy coach and relationship expert. Happy Monday. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone had a great day yesterday, if you knew what yesterday was. I hope if you were celebrating, most of y'all say y'all were celebrating, so I hope y'all did, and I hope y'all really enjoyed yourselves. But otherwise, today I am back, and I have a topic for you guys. Hello, welcome. So I want to talk about some early signs of disconnection in relationship. So as a therapist, as an intimacy coach, typically when people are coming to me or they're asking me for help, by then there's already an issue and everyone knows that it's an issue. It's something that maybe has been going on for a while. Maybe it's something that they've been trying to work out for a while and it is just not clicking. Something's not working. And so I want to help you guys out. So ultimately, yes, it's great if you want help. I'm happy to help. I love doing what I do. But there are some ways that you can maybe prevent the breakdown of your intimacy if you would just keep an eye out for some of the key signs that are common when there's a disconnection in a relationship. So that's something that I wanted to go over today. Because like I said, I get a lot of questions about, okay, there's a lack of intimacy, or I just don't feel connected to this person. And there's things that you can kind of pick up along the way. And if you pick these things up early enough, typically you can kind of reverse it before it becomes a huge issue, because things pile up over time. So I do want to go ahead and give you some of those things. I think I have like 9 things that I listed here. So I do want to quickly go over those. If you guys have questions or any comments, I like to know what you guys think too. So if you have questions for clarification, or if you just have examples of your own examples, I guess, of disconnection, then definitely feel free to do so. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay in the comments, you can still participate. I respond to 99% of my comments. So even if you're watching late, you can still chit chat with me. I will respond. But let's get into it. So some signs of disconnection. And so the first one that I had was mindlessness. And so kind of like the opposite of mindfulness. So if you know anything about mindfulness, it's all about focusing on the present and being very much attuned to what's going on right now. And so whenever I talk about mindlessness, one easy example that I can give that most adults can relate to if you drive is if you've ever been driving somewhere and you just end up at your destination. So you don't consciously remember the fact that you took a left here, or that you got off at a certain exit. You don't even realize the steps that it took you to get home. You just know that you got home. And so that is kind of what I would consider mindlessness. The idea that you're doing something, but you're kind of just on autopilot. You're not really paying attention to what's going on. You're not in tune to what's going on in the moment at all. And so within a relationship, obviously this is not very helpful if you're doing this most of the time, because you're not actually experiencing the other person or the emotions, the experiences that you're having together. You're not really paying attention to them. Maybe you're just doing them. And if you're not paying attention to them, it's hard for you to develop the feelings or have the responses to certain things. So definitely mindlessness is a sign. So if you find yourself just not really being in a moment with this person, and this is obviously, I specialize in romantic relationships. That's primarily what I help to treat with clients. However, this can apply to any relationship at all. And so mindlessness, just not really paying attention. You're on autopilot. You're just letting things happen. The second one I have is increased irritability. And I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, but if you find yourself just annoyed, and I've been this way before, because I don't know if you guys remember, I told you I used to be a very angry person. And so So if I'm mad at you, if you did something that bothered me, your whole existence is now annoying to me. You can walk in the room and I'm going to have an attitude right away. If I allow it to get to that point now, where I am in my life now, I control it a whole lot better. I'm not as angry. I'm a lot more happy. I'm at peace with a lot of things, so I don't allow myself to get there. But if I do find myself being more annoyed than usual, then I know something is wrong. So I know that maybe I'm not feeling super connected even to myself, and being within my own awareness, or feeling connected to whoever it is that's annoying me. And so definitely increased irritability, snapping at the other person, not wanting to really be around them, not communicating very well. Those are all symptoms, and that kind of goes into the next thing. So lack of communication or poor communication. So this includes not listening. So I know a lot of people have trouble with listening. Listening and comprehending, understanding. So not just hearing what someone is saying, but making an attempt, even if you don't get it, because sometimes we don't, and I will tell somebody like, I don't understand, and so I want you to explain it to me so that I can understand. So taking the time to really understand something. This can also be like yelling, obviously, and abusive language towards someone. The silent treatment also, just not talking to them, like not wanting to deal with them, not talking to them at all. That can also be something. And then lack of eye contact. So I also used to do this. Like I said, if I was angry, anything that you do, you come in the room, I'm annoyed already. I already have an attitude. So if you do talk to me, if it's something important, I would respond. So I would try not to do the silent treatment as much if it's important. But if it's important and I was mad at you, I would not look at you. You don't deserve me looking at you. Me looking at you is just going to make me more angry. So if those things are happening, then that can be a sign that there's definitely a disconnect. There's definitely something that you need to address in order to get back to that intimacy, to the healthy intimacy, right? So definitely lack of communication or poor communication. The next one is defensiveness. So with defensiveness, it can be very tricky because obviously, and this is kind of how I explain it to clients whenever I do work, is everything works until it doesn't work. So with defense mechanisms, we develop them because they work. They served a purpose. It worked for me. So I'm going to keep doing it because obviously this worked before. It was a protective thing. It helped me to feel better. It helped protect me from a negative experience or whatever the case may be, right? So it protected you. It worked. But over time, we run into trouble because, like I said, everything works until it doesn't. So sometimes they stop working or they create further issues from us. So if we're being defensive within the context of an intimate relationship and the other person is kind of smacking up against this wall, it's no longer helping me because it's keeping this love or this intimacy out. And if I want that love and intimacy, which most people who are coming to me, that's what they want. So if you want it, you have to stop with the defenses. So it's going to take some time because typically with defense mechanisms, this is something that you build up over time. Like I said, you do it and you do it and you do it because it works. But now that it's not working, we have to reevaluate. Being defensive and building up a wall is helpful in certain contexts, but you have to really analyze, what is it that I want? Like I said, if you want the love, you want the intimacy, and you find that this is something that's stopping it, it's creating that disconnection, it's not going to help you. So the next one is being critical. So we can get very judgy or very critical. Typically, whenever we're not feeling our best within ourselves, that's when we're most critical. If we're critical with ourselves, it's very easy to be critical with everyone else. But being critical and constantly criticizing someone, especially if it's not the helpful kind of criticism, and most people know what that is, but if you don't, in my Complete Confidence crash course, there is a whole breakdown of how to determine whether or not something is helpful or unhelpful criticism. And that crash course is $37. So if you are looking for a confidence boost, you want to better understand helpful versus unhelpful criticism, feedback, how to analyze those sorts of things, then definitely go grab that. If you click the drop down menu up here, you want to follow me. If you're not doing that already, you should. Go do that. And then in my bio here on Instagram, if you click on that, you scroll down to courses and you'll find the complete confidence crash course there. Go ahead and purchase it and you'll get all of that information as far as the breakdown. But if you're not given helpful criticism, you're just hurting people, honestly, because most people don't respond well to criticism. Even if we know that there's some validity to it, even if we know that it doesn't define us as a person, it can be hurtful to hear that, especially from someone you care about. So that definitely can build up a disconnection, because if they're constantly hearing negative things about themselves, then they can definitely feel like they don't want to be close to you. What do I want to be close to you for if you don't even care, you don't value me, you think that I do everything wrong? So definitely being critical can be a sign of disconnection. The next one I have is forgetfulness. So this kind of goes along with the mindlessness. So not only is it not being attuned to the current moment, but forgetfulness. If someone is telling you to do something, or if you're supposed to do something and you're constantly forgetting things and you don't remember, whether it's important or not, a lot of times people get upset about the principle more so than the thing itself. So if I tell you to do the laundry, or to take the laundry out of the washer and put it in the dryer, it's a simple thing. The world's not gonna end. It's not, I know that, but the idea that you forgot something that I said, or that you didn't listen, maybe you didn't listen and that's why you forgot, but all of that makes me feel like what I said is not important to you. And so that can definitely cause a disconnection as well. So if you find yourself forgetting a lot of things, or your partner's forgetting a lot of things, a lot of times that breaks down the intimacy as well. Then the next one, this is an obvious one. I feel like this is what 90% of the people who ask me questions, this is the one. So a lack of physical contact. And so this is not just sex. Obviously sex can go in this category, but it's not just that. If you are not hugging, touching, kissing, caressing the person when you walk by, placing your hand on their shoulder, spanking them on the booty. If you're not doing any of those things, and you usually do, and you're like, you need that touch. I don't know if you guys know all of the benefits of physical touch. It's very important, especially if you kind of just think back even to the last few years with the pandemic, when people were quarantined. Humans thrive on intimacy, whether that's physical intimacy or not. But if you think about our growth and development as human beings from babies, they tell you to do skin to skin, make sure you're touching and hugging and holding, because that we automatically release happy hormones when we're doing that. So if you're not doing that in your relationship, even like I said, holding hands, touching a shoulder, even if you're not into the more extreme versions of PDA or things like that, you want to make sure that you're doing some form of touching in order to build that bond, to release those happy hormones that makes you guys feel closer. And I know it's very easy, because I used to be this way as well. If you're not feeling it, it can be hard to wrap your mind around the idea that I want to touch you when I'm not feeling connected to you. But that's actually when you need to do it the most. And that's with a lot of things. If you're feeling super overwhelmed and stressed, that's probably when you need to do the yoga, the meditation, the therapy, the coaching the most. When you are you don't have a lot of time because you're overwhelmed or whatever the case, that's when you need to do these things. That is when it is most helpful, honestly. And so the next one, I have two more. So the next one is relying on others to meet your needs rather than your partner. And this causes a lot of issues. Like, y'all could save yourselves a lot of arguments, a lot of trouble if you were better managing this one. So If you are upset about something, if there's an issue, whether it's within the relationship or not, seeking that validation, seeking counsel or advice from someone who's not a professional, but constantly relying on that other person for that support that your partner hopefully should be providing to you, that is what causes a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. Y'all could really avoid it if you were better communicating with your partner. If you don't feel like they are a safe space, they're not providing that opportunity for you to get your needs met there, then that needs to be a conversation that you guys have. And if you need help navigating that, I can help you. Click the link in the bio. Definitely schedule your free breakthrough call with me, and we can kind of figure out something, because this is something that a lot of people ask me questions about, and it's really avoidable. All of these things are to a certain extent, but this one is very big. So definitely making sure that you're not relying on someone other than that person for all of your needs. So obviously we have friends, we have family, you go to them for certain things, but if you're seeking every ounce of support from someone other than your partner, how is your partner to feel close to you? And vice versa. We feel closer to the people we share the most information with, the most time with. So if I'm going over here, every single time, I'm gonna feel closer to the person over here. So definitely keep that in mind if you're doing it. I know we've all done it before, but definitely make sure you kind of make the boundaries and the limitations around that, because that's a very big one that we hear a lot in therapy. It's like, yeah, you ain't gotta do it. And then the last one that I have here is living a parallel existence. That's what I call it. But this is particularly from people who have been in long-term relationships, who live together, just because it can be very easy as life happens, responsibilities happen, to fall into a pattern where maybe you're not as intimate, maybe you're not as intentional with your time together, so you're really just living side by side. So if you're like on your phone and you guys are together technically, but you're not paying attention to each other, you're not being intentional about that time together, that is something that happens a lot, like I said, in long-term relationships. So if this is happening, if you're finding that this is more common than not, some days this is totally fine. We all need our own time and space from someone else. But if this is most often, is that you're living parallel to each other rather than with each other, and that's not what you want, then you definitely want to kind of draw your attention to that and see what may be causing that. And again, if you want some help, I got you. You can definitely book a call with me, see if you want to work with me, and I can help you on that. But definitely, you're funny. But yeah, parallel existence, that's another way to further a disconnection rather than building up intimacy. So there's going to be a separate time, separate video that I'll go a little bit more in detail to tell you how we can combat these things. But that is just a way that you can kind of keep an eye out for the signs. So I'll just run through them really quickly, then I'm going to go through the comments here. So the first one, mindlessness. Second one was increased irritability, lack of communication or just poor communication, defensiveness, being critical, forgetfulness, lack of physical contact, relying on others to meet your needs rather than your partner, and then living like that parallel life. So those are just some of the early signs. These are kind of the most common ones that I see, honestly. Obviously, there's going to be more. There's tons of things that could potentially cause a disconnection or be the sign of a disconnection, but those are just some that you guys can look out for and that are pretty easy to notice if you tune in, which you got to be mindful for, which is why that was the first one that I gave you guys. You definitely have to make sure you're paying attention. But let me see. How do you feel about people ghosting someone they were talking to? Is it a personal insecurity as to why people would rather go ghost instead of communicating? I think that depends on the person. So typically it could be a combination of things, or it could be one of some of these things. So sometimes it is. So sometimes people worry about what the perception or the response is going to be. If they say that maybe they're not interested, or maybe that they're having a tough time and they can't really devote time to building anything with someone. So for them, they find it easier just to, like, I'll just stop talking to them. And so typically that's because of kind of a pattern that they've built. Maybe they are not good communicators. Maybe they're uncomfortable with confrontation, or maybe they had a bad experience before where they did tell someone, I'm not interested, and that person responded negatively. So it could be that. It could be that they're just worried that maybe they're not worthy of whatever is being built. Maybe they're worried that the other person is going to decide that they're done first and they don't want that rejection. So it could be a combination of all of these different things. It depends on the person, but a lot of times I think that it has to do maybe with a combination of being uncomfortable with confrontation, being uncomfortable if a person says something maybe mean, or maybe if I tell you that you hurt my feelings, now you're going to feel terrible about yourself. So you rather just not say anything at all. Or just that fear of it actually turning into something and then the other person be like, nah, I'm good. So I think those are probably the most common reasons for that, but there could be a whole bunch of different things that it is. Hello, everyone. If you have any other questions or anything, you definitely drop it now. If not, we're about to get up out of here. Definitely tune in Mondays. This is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be answering questions. And at some point throughout the week, you can catch my story. I'm going to put the post back up where you guys can submit your own questions to me so that I can incorporate them whenever I do my lives. They will be on Mondays, and that's going to be 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time, wherever you guys are at, so you can mark your calendar, stay tuned, and check that out with me. Definitely, like I said, follow me if you have not done so. You need to do so. I have a lot of interesting things coming up, so you definitely want to be around for that. I'm doing the free 30-minute breakthrough calls if you're interested in working with me. I am doing one-on-ones now, so you can work with me specifically, get my feedback, get my guidance. I can help you with whatever relationship or intimacy concern that you are experiencing currently, and I got you. Definitely check it out. If you're catching the replay, #replay, like I said, drop your comments. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys later. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm out of here. Bye.